Hi everyone, it's me Darlene. I am back with our Quilt Block of the Month series. We're doing block number 2 today, February 2024. This is part 1. It will be piecing the quilt block. Part 2 will be doing our big stitch quilting, and I might join the two at that point also. Haven't decided yet. I might wait a little longer to start joining. If you're not familiar with this series, there is a playlist link in the description of this video. I will also have it on the end screen. We're going to get started. Get a piece of paper and a pencil because I'm going to give you the sizes of the pieces that you need. Notice this one is just a piece of paper. That's going to be our specialty block inside the block. This was a living nightmare for me. I thought it would be simple, but it stressed me out big time, and I'm still not sure what I will be using for fabric for that. I always give you the measurements wide by tall. So this one, A, block A, is 3 inches wide by 8 inches tall. B is 2 inches square. C is 4 inches wide by 2 inches tall. D is 7 inches wide by 4.5 inches tall. E is going to end up being 5.5 inches wide by 10 inches tall. If you don't want to make the specialty block that I am making, you just need to cut a piece of fabric that size, 5.5 by 10. It can be anything you want. It can be something that you pieced. It can have a border, like mine is going to have a border. Or you can just fussy cut something fun out of fabric. F is 3 wide by 4 tall. G is 4.5 wide by 7.5 tall. H is 3 wide by 7.5 tall. I, 5.5 wide by 3.5 tall. J, another one, 5.5 wide by 3.5 tall. I didn't realize I made them the same, but I went with it. K and L are both 2-inch squares. And M is 3 wide by 3.5 tall. And you'll notice I have no matching prints within the block, but I am matching prints from other blocks. What I do is when I cut, like for block number 1, I put it aside after. I put that print aside to know that I have used that one. And I like to make sure I do have some fabrics that show up multiple times in the quilt. And then I might have some fabrics that only show up once. We're going to start with this. I have so many things I want to call it. And I'm going to tell you, it's a heart because it's February. But I did not want it to look like a Valentine's Day heart. I wanted a long, skinny heart, like a country heart, and I don't want it red. So I'm going to pick out 2 prints, and I'm going to see if I can survive this. I've been working on it a long time. I just had something in my head, a particular heart. I didn't quite accomplish it, but I think I got close. You're also going to need fabric for a border. So far, the only border I have is around the specialty block. Let me show you the one we did previously. See, we did a kitty last time. That's the backing. I forgot that that's what I was using for the backing. I need to remember that, right? I'm sure I will. A month apart is a long time. I forget how to do everything. And then I did the big stitch quilting, which I am going to do for every block. I will say that the borders for each specialty block inside the block, I don't think they're going to be the same, and they might not even be even all the way around, depending on how you cut, but that's okay. I wanted to give it a pop so that we could see the kitty, and everybody liked this one and said it looked like he was looking out the window, and I agree. So I'm cutting my black strips 2 inches to give us wiggle room. So if your inside block doesn't come out the same size as mine, doesn't matter. We're going to sew wide borders and then we just trim down to the size we need. I think that's going to work. I do hope you give the heart a try. It can be a little bit tricky, but I'm going to show you up close at the sewing machine what I'm doing for this, and I'd like you to at least try it. Doesn't have to go in the quilt if you don't like it. All right, let's go with this. Here's what I'm going with. Don't judge me. I picked this little tiny flower print for the heart and a very pale background. I don't know. I wanted a plaid heart, but I didn't feel like digging through. And anyway, I'm going with this little floral print. You can do whatever you want. For the actual heart, you need 4 pieces of fabric. 2 of them are 2 wide by 6 tall. The other 2 are 2-inch squares. All right? Easy peasy. You cut a 2-inch strip, and then you cut your strip into 2 6-inch pieces and 2 little squares. For the background, you need 2 of the 2 by 6, and then you need 4 1.5-inch squares. Now, this can be done many ways. This is just the way I ended up, liking the most. So I'm telling you, it was very, very stressful. Let's just move these aside, the heart pieces. For the background, you're going to draw a diagonal line, corner to corner. And I'm sure you can't see that. It's diagonal from this corner to this corner. And you can go ahead and draw them in the opposite directions, but it doesn't really matter because no matter how you draw it, you can make it work. So this corner to this corner, this corner to this corner. You're also going to draw a diagonal line on each of your little 1.5-inch squares. Just diagonal. Doesn't matter because that, again, is going to work no matter which way we do it. Okay, let's start the fun part. Let's start with these pieces, the long heart pieces. We also want to take the long background pieces. And I wonder if it would be easier to show you here or at the table. I'm going to try showing you here because we're very used to just laying something down, right? But we are doing half rectangle triangles, not half square triangles on this, half rectangle triangles. So we need to turn this piece. And you might find it confusing, and that's okay. That's okay, you can find it confusing. First of all, make sure the right sides are up on your heart, and you want the right side down. You want to see your diagonal line. So instead of doing this line is going to this corner, and this line is going to this corner. See what I mean, Jelly Bean? Does that make sense to you? Your diagonal line is going to start here and go to the opposite corner. Same here. You're not just doing this. You're taking this diagonal line and you're moving it to the opposite corner. And it goes up to here. So you're going to end up with a picture like this. This diagonal line starts down here and ends up here. This diagonal line starts down here and ends up here. After you do it a few times, or 100, you'll get it. You'll get it right. I've actually done this before, I think in 2 different videos, but I wanted a particular size long heart, so I had to do this. Now what we're going to do is we are going to go and sew on the lines. You can pin if you want. You really can. Nothing is going to come out perfect with this block, I promise you, because I couldn't get it to be perfect or not even close. So we're calling them a long, wonky country heart. Okay, the word wonky has to be in there so we can pretend it's all messed up on purpose. Now, here's what we've got. When we fold these back, see, this is going to be the long body of our heart. Okay, so whatever way you did it, do it like this. You want, when you fold it back, you want the wide part of your heart at the top. Fold this back, the wide part. Now, if you turn it in the wrong direction, I think it still works, right? We fold back and the wide. You just want to know that your wide tops of the heart are at the top, both of them. So now you can take a pencil or whatever you want, and you're going to mark the opposite side. These are the sides we want, this and this. This is the part we're going to cut off, okay? So we're not going to screw up and make a mistake. So I want to cut the part with the X off. So I'm just cutting on this side of the stitch line. Got it? Got it. Cutting off the part with the X, leaving about 1/4 inch. And the same with this guy. We're going to cut the side that has the X. Just remember, no matter how shitty your heart comes out, we can fix things once we get the border and it's trimmed. Always looks better that way. I'm going to go press these open. So there's my heart. Now don't panic if you say, oh my God, I did it wrong. Oh my God, I did it wrong. You most likely did it right. That's my heart, the bottom of my heart. They are pointing in with the wide sides at the top. Now we're going to put that aside. We do not sew those together yet. We have our 2-inch squares and we have our 1.5-inch squares. We're going to sew on the diagonal, but your diagonal, whenever you put your little square, you want the line not this way. You don't want it pointing, to the other corner. You want it this way so you can sew from here to here. Hop on, hop off. But what I like is I want the lines, the fabrics that overlap to be opposite on the top of the heart. Doesn't matter, but I like it. So this one I'm putting on the left side. I'm showing it to you and you can see. I'm sorry that if the lines are not showing, but see, that's how your line goes. And then on this one, I want to put it on the right side, okay? So I'm going to sew this way, and I'm going to sew this one this way. Now we cut above the stitch line, like that, like that. You can finger press, or you can go press with the iron. At this point, I'm okay with just finger pressing. Now we have this going on, like that. We're going to take another one and we're going to put it here. Now I'm just matching it up to the heart block because this is going to be crooked. There's no way you're ever coming out with that being perfect. So I'm just matching it up to the blue, in my case, there and there. Putting that corner like that and the diagonal, you want to be able to hop on and hop off. If you have it this way, you can hop on, but there's no hopping off. So you want it this way. And while I'm holding on to that for dear life, I'm going to send it through. And I like to start at the edge where it's just on the heart fabric, not with all this going on. So sorry, I didn't even have you at the machine. And now we cut the tip of that one off, like that. I have to sharpen my scissors, and I do have a sharpener. And I will go press that in a minute. Let's get this one done. So I am putting my piece right there. Trimming above that line. Going to press these open. This is what I have. Now, I'm going to take these to my cutting mat and I'm going to trim 1/4 inch off the bottom of each of these. Don't worry about the top or anything like that at this point. Just trust me. You should not trust me at all. I haven't gotten this right yet. Okay, I'm trimming 1/4 of an inch off the bottom of each of the heart pieces. It doesn't really matter, but we're sewing one of these to here. Oh my God, that's about as good as I've gotten it yet. Now we're going to do this one. I was crooked on that one. By a lot. I wonder why. You know, that's what's so frustrating. It's like, how come that ended up like that? But I'm going with it. Now, here's what I want you to do. You don't need to trim this to a certain size, but go put this down. I'm going to press it. Put it on your mat and just try to make this edge straight. You know, if it's like really crooked, like mine has a bend there, you see? A little bit of a bend. So I'm going to press it, I'm going to put it on my mat, and I'm going to just make sure it's a straight line. Now I've got these two pieces. I'm going to try to line up this intersection here. Try to match that up a little bit. Not overly concerned. I'm doing 1/4 of an inch. I have no clue if you could tell how bad that was. Okay, this is not horrible. It isn't horrible, unless you absolutely hate a long heart. But I liked the long heart part. That's what I really wanted. And we're going to still be able to cover this up, I think. Okay, I'm pressing it open. Yeah, I have one side more narrow. Like I said, that's just the way it's going to be. Now all we need to do is, I just want to trim the sides to make it like even. You know, you're not aiming for a certain size. We're going to make it the 5.5 by 10 by adding a generous border and then trimming the border. So I'm just going to the cutting board and I'm just going to lay this on a line and just even this out a little bit. It's like there's a curse to this block. I couldn't even trim it evenly. I don't know. I might have been cutting in a grooved part of my mat. But anyway, I have hope for this, and I don't even hate that I have little flowers. I really was wanting plaid. I wanted a country-looking plaid long heart, but I think I'm going to be happy with this. Now we're ready for our strips. And again, I'm using 2-inch strips, so I have plenty of room to trim. And we are going to get this to be 5.5 by 10. So I like to start on the long sides, and then I do top and bottom. And I don't cut the strip. I just lay it on there, and I sew. And when I get close to the end, you kind of like turn your scissors upside down. It's harder to do it this way. I turn my scissors upside down and I just trim. And I go right off. And I'm using aqua thread. Again, I'm a rule breaker. But I always say there are no rules. So there are no rules to break, right? I pressed it open and I trimmed the top and bottom just to get rid of the long extra pieces of the border. And now I'm doing the top and bottom. Don't have quite enough of that one. I hope you're still hanging with me after all this. I'm going to like my heart very much. Skinnier on one side, I don't care. Things aren't matching up. That intersection matched up good, but I'm going to be happy with it. Now I need to cut it 5.5 wide by 10 tall. You guys, when I say I have struggled with this, I mean it. I have no clue how come this is not at least 10 inches tall. We have to get 10 inches, and I'm at like maybe 9 1/4. I have two choices. Add a little bit of black somewhere. I don't feel like doing that. Maybe I could do that. Or my other option is, what I was going to do is take the border off the top and the bottom and use 3-inch strips. Please use 3-inch strips on this one, okay? Because I don't want you to go through what I'm going through and not having your block big enough, because we need it to be 5.5 by 10 so it fits the rest of the pieces. I could, what do I want to do? Here's what I decided to do. I took off the bottom border. I'm going to slap a 3-inch strip on there. Oh my goodness. I like it. Even though it has a bigger border on the bottom, I like it. And, you know, I could have had a mini meltdown just now. I've had many trying to do this, trying to design this heart to get it the way I wanted. But my whole thing is, I'm always telling you guys not to worry about things. Nothing has to be perfect. And, you know, we had several options. I could have taken both the top and bottom off and add bigger strips. I could have added just any strip. And I just chose to take the bottom off and put a bigger border. And it worked. Now, see, the practice one that I did last night, the final one that I said I'm going with that, I had no problem getting it to be big enough with the borders on there. None at all. And but I had a problem with this one, so I don't know, for whatever reason it ended up coming out different. I guess I probably didn't even follow my own directions. I don't know. I don't even remember what my directions really were. But I want to let you guys know you don't have to stress as much as I do over things like this. Now, right now I'm just trying to pick out some of these threads, and it's good. Let's go put this with the other pieces and we'll start sewing them all together. Here we are. We're going to put this all together. I think I know what I did wrong. I had made some changes last night when I was very tired, and I forgot to make the changes in my head. I only made the changes on paper. But the size that I gave you, that should be correct. You want a block 5.5 by 10. And that's important to know in case you don't want to go through this. You just want to cut something. Do use 3-inch strips though, and then you'll be able to trim evenly. I had a hard time getting the 5.5 width, so go ahead and use, what did I say? I was using 2-inch strips, at least 2.5, maybe even 3-inch strips. It's better to have enough that you can trim, you know, instead of having to pick stitches like I had to do. Now we are going to start putting these pieces together. I am going to put B and C together. And now I will sew B and C to the top of this dreaded block. I'm telling you, it's been a struggle. I guess I'll do A and F next. And now we can attach this to here. I think I'll put G and H together. Now we can put D on top of that. You can do any order you want. Well, before I attach these two big pieces, let's put some of this together. Let's put our 2-inch squares together. Like that. Right there. I'll join I and J. Got that. Now I'll sew my 2-inch squares to this one. Now we can connect this strip right here. Right there. Let's join this to this. Now I just have to join these two. I am going to even this out a little bit. This side's good. The best thing about this block is that it's going to be done. I'm not in love with the bigger part of the border there, and I'm so mad because I know what I did wrong and I didn't make the adjustments that I needed. But It's okay, it really is. So I'm just going to even this out, and then I will sew these two together. Here's the block. I even screwed up by putting this strip on the top, and I had to pick that. Once I start getting like tired, and I've been tired of this block for like a week, I just keep screwing up. I'm so sad that I forgot to make the adjustments for this block. On paper, I allowed for it to be a bigger heart, but I forgot to make the bigger heart. So that's why the border is, wider than I would like. And also that, that's the reason why it didn't fit the puzzle. But we made it work, right? I'm trying to tell myself that it's okay. I do like the country-looking long heart. I'm anxious to make it again another time and make a bigger one. Other than that, I really like this block. I'm not particular with prints. Some of you might be like puking because I have this flowery and some stripe. I want it to look like I used actual scraps just from my scrap box. And, when we have scraps, the prints are all different. So I'm very happy with that. Now you have to subscribe to see me suffer again. I don't think I could ever suffer as much as I have with this. I am going to be making the sandwich, the quilt sandwich, and doing the big stitching. And I may or may not join to the other blog. We'll see how it goes. I might wait and, have a few, and I really want to decide as to how I'm going to join them. But please subscribe, come back. Part 2 of this will be in a couple of days, and I hope you enjoyed. I hope you did give the heart a try, because it's a good way to learn that we don't have to be perfect. Well, in this case, if you're perfect and you make a perfect heart, then you need to be doing videos. I don't think anyone's going to make a perfect heart. We like our wonky, right? Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with more soon. And remember, you got to subscribe. Bye!